My name is Graves. Tonight, we open the door to the first chapter of Real Haunted Locations, a journey into places where the past never sleeps and where the shadows still whisper their stories. In this episode, we uncover the dark history behind one of the most infamous haunted sites ever recorded. From tragic events to unexplained encounters, every detail you're about to hear is rooted in true documented accounts. If you enjoy exploring the real horrors that linger in our world, make sure to subscribe to Gravehouse Studios. Hit like, share this video with someone who loves the dark and the unexplained, and join us as we continue uncovering the most chilling locations on Earth. This is episode 1, and the haunting begins now. Rolling Hills Asylum, East Bethany, New York. Known as one of the most haunted locations in the country. In 1827, on a quiet stretch of rural New York farmland, the Genesee County Poorhouse opened its doors. Not as a hospital, not as a sanctuary, but as a last resort for the unwanted. Orphans, widows, the mentally ill, the disabled, and the destitute were all sent here. A society's forgotten, hidden behind brick walls and wooden barns. Records from the time tell a bleak story. Residents were called inmates, expected to labor from sunrise to sunset. Some were children, others were elderly. Many suffered from illnesses no one understood. But in these halls, their stories faded. Their names were rarely recorded. Their lives barely remembered. The poorhouse was a self-sustaining farm. Livestock, crops, a bakery, even a coffin shop. When residents died, and many did, the same people who worked the fields built the boxes they'd be buried in. Death wasn't an event here. It was a routine. By the early 1900s, the facility grew into an asylum and infirmary. Crowded rooms, understaffed wards, long, dim corridors where the sick and unstable were left for hours without treatment. Some cried out for help. Some slipped away quietly, and some were never even noticed. Walk these hallways today, and you can still feel it. The cold, heavy silence that settles on abandoned beds and peeling paint. Visitors report shadow figures watching from doorways, and footsteps pacing where no one stands. The building remembers what it witnessed. The morgue, beneath the asylum, has become one of its darkest legends. Body after body was wheeled down here. The unclaimed, the unknown, the forgotten. Some paranormal investigators swear they've been shoved in the dark, as though something still guards this room. Outside on the hillside lies the Poorhouse Cemetery, or what's left of it. Most markers have vanished, the graves uncounted. Official records list more than 1,700 deaths, but many believe far more were lost here. Buried without names, buried without stories. Even into the 1950s, the building continued to serve as a home for the elderly and abandoned. Modern wings were added, but the suffering inside remained the same. Loneliness, decay, a slow fade into silence. By the 1970s, Rolling Hills closed its doors. Nature crept in, paint blistered, windows cracked, and the voices of nearly a century of human struggle settled into the walls. A permanent scar time refuses to erase. Today, The asylum stands as a museum of what remains: dust-covered wheelchairs, rotting beds, handwritten files, personal belongings left behind, as if waiting for their owners to return. Rolling Hills Asylum is more than haunted. It is a monument to the forgotten, a place where the past refuses to stay dead. The Hinsdale House, Hinsdale, New York. The haunting stories tied to the Hinsdale House are among the most frequent and disturbing in Northeast paranormal lore. At the edge of the quiet town of Hinsdale, New York, there stands a house unlike any other, small, weathered, unassuming. But for decades, it has been whispered about in fear, a place where shadows move on their own, where voices echo through empty rooms, and where a family once begged for help against something they could not see and could not escape. This is the Hinsdale House, also known as the Dandy House. From the outside, it looks like any fading 19th century farmhouse. But inside, history and horror are layered into the walls like sediment. To understand what lives here now, we have to start at the beginning, in the mid-1800s, when this land was first settled and the house was built. The earliest recorded owners were the Everett brothers, farmers trying to carve a life out of the wilderness. Then came the Burtons. Then the McMahons, whose name still marks the road outside. Over generations, the families changed, but the strange stories remained. Odd noises, strange sightings, and a profound sense that the land itself was watching. But the haunting truly erupted in the 1970s, when Clara and Phil Dandy moved into the house with their children. Almost instantly, the family reported footsteps on the stairs, chanting from the woods, objects flying across rooms, and pale figures standing in the doorway at night. The children spoke of invisible friends who whispered to them. Lights flickered and died. Shadow figures stood at the edge of beds, and the family dog refused to enter certain rooms. As the months passed, the activity grew violent. A rosary snapped in half. A candle reportedly levitated during a seance. One child described a man with no face standing by the pond. The family believed they were being tormented, not by one spirit, but by many. A presence tied to the woods, the land, and the house itself. Desperate, the Dandys contacted the clergy at St. Bonaventure University. Father Alphonsus Trebold arrived and performed what has often been called an exorcism, a ritual cleansing meant to drive out the force tormenting the family. But instead of ending the activity, it made it worse. The house erupted with louder knocks. Objects crashed to the floor, and the chanting in the woods intensified. Within weeks, the family fled, leaving most of their belongings behind. They said the house didn't want them to leave and tried to stop them. To this day, those who have visited swear they feel that same presence, as if the house is aware when someone steps inside and follows them from room to room. After decades of abandonment, the home was purchased in 2015 and restored for paranormal investigation. Visitors report seeing apparitions in the upstairs hallway, hearing children humming in empty rooms, and feeling touches or cold fingers brush along their arms. Some say they've seen figures moving by the pond. Others report a whispering voice calling their name from the woods. Behind the house stands a gnarled tree known as the Giving Tree, a place where visitors leave offerings, hoping to calm the energy of the land. Some believe the tree holds a connection to whatever ancient presence lives in the woods. and those woods. Even today, investigators say they hear footsteps behind them, only to find no one there. The Hinsdale house is more than haunted. It is a doorway to something old, something restless, something that has never truly left these grounds. Whether you believe the stories or not, one thing is certain. Once you visit the Hinsdale house, you don't leave alone. In the quiet town of Amityville, New York, sits one of the most infamous houses in American history, a place where tragedy and legend collide. At first glance, the home looks ordinary, peaceful even. But beneath its calm exterior lies a story that has haunted the public for nearly 50 years. It begins on November 13th, 1974, when 23-year-old Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. murdered his family as they slept. 6 lives stolen in the dead of night. The crime shocked the nation, and almost immediately, the house itself became a symbol of something darker, something unexplained. 1 year later, the Lutz family moved in. They lasted just 28 days. What they claimed happened inside would ignite one of the most controversial haunting stories ever told. George Lutz spoke of cold spots, strange odors, and waking at exactly 3:15 a.m., the approximate time of the murders. Doors slammed on their own. Shadows moved against the walls. Kathy Lutz claimed she felt an unseen presence whispering through the halls. The family's daughter talked about a pig-like entity named Jody, watching her from the windows. They fled without their belongings, terrified, shaken, and certain something unnatural lived within the home. In the years that followed, investigators, skeptics, and thrill-seekers descended on the property. Some claimed to feel an overwhelming heaviness. Others said it was all a hoax. The truth? No definitive evidence of the paranormal has ever been proven. Yet the legend refuses to die. Today, the house has new owners. The address has changed. The iconic windows have been remodeled, and they insist the home is quiet, normal. Still, for those who know the story, Amityville remains more than just a house. It is a reminder of how tragedy can echo through time, sometimes loudly, sometimes in whispers. And in Amityville, the whispers never truly stop.